Everybody talks about crown molding like it's really hard, and it's not easy, but it's a lot easier when you understand that it's just because you're working with two angles instead of one, like normal trim. Let me explain. So for typical trim pieces, you're really just considering one angle, right? The angle right here of these two walls coming together. When you make your cut, you have to think, okay, these can't be flat. They actually have to have an angle so that when they come together, they fit. Little fuckery that is crown molding makes it a little harder because you don't just have this angle. Your crown molding pieces are actually sitting like so between the ceiling and the wall. And this angle right here of this and this, so this little guy, boop, boop, that's called the spring angle. And you need to consider that as well when you're making your cuts, or else it looks like this. Let's say once it was perfect. These two came together beautifully. Oh, now they're at an angle. Whoa, there's a huge gap. We need to consider that second angle of the cut. Typically online, you're going to see two techniques for cutting crown molding pieces to consider those two angles I was talking about. One of them is a technique that has you sitting this piece of molding against the backing here and this, treating it kind of like your mock ceiling in your wall. And then another one is laying it flat. So the first way that you can adjust your saw for a cut with this sitting against this backing and this saw like it's the ceiling and the wall and holding it in place is technically easier in terms of adjusting your angles. All you're going to do is lift this and just adjust it to the angle you need for the walls meeting together. And then you hold your piece of molding in this funky way to consider that spring angle. So you're solving for that spring angle here, you're solving for your wall angle here, and you make that cut. I don't prefer this one because I feel like I'm relying on myself holding this perfectly at the right spring angle, and I don't really know if my hands are doing that. I also don't want to be distracting by how I'm holding this while I'm using a power tool that could literally cut off my arm. So what I prefer to do is the one where the saw is making the spring angle adjustment and the wall angle adjustment for me. And the way that that looks is you adjust it to, a little bit funky angles here, 31.6, and then you use something on your saw called the bevel angle, which you can unlock here, and you're going to adjust it to 33.9. And the beauty with this one is you're just laying your piece flat, and then you put your flat piece in there and you do your sawing, holding it in place a lot more easily. So those are the two ways that you can adjust your saw to make your crown molding cuts. One, again, laying this flat on here and then adjusting your bevel and adjusting your miter of your saw to accommodate those two angles, or you can hold it up against here and create that spring angle and then just consider the wall angle when you're making your cut.